Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Joey,
And I'm Jeremy.
and this week we're talking about an album that I picked. It's called Lineage, and it's by Plusol. I don't know how to pronounce their name still.
Yeah,
Uh,
I didn't look it up either. Not
like,
that there's like a quick and handy pronunciation guide anyway.
yeah, I tried to find it. I couldn't
Oh, did you?
find it. I couldn't find the artist's actual name, and I
Oh,
couldn't find the pronunciation of, but I'm just gonna say Plusle because
sure.
that's how my head says it whenever I think of his name. So
Yeah, I think that works for me. Why did you pick Plusle Lineage?
I just like it, and I don't know.
Were you just like, did it just like hit you as like, okay, this is the time for this, or was it
It
like that you've been listening? Because was this on your? This album came out last year,
Yeah,
right?
this album came out May 1st of 2020, and I mean I had been listening to Plusle before then,
Mm-hmm.
but I had listened to, like, it came out and I was just like, ooh, I really vibe with this album. His previous album, I keep saying his. I don't know if Plusle's a guy or a
There.
girl. There. Yeah, there we go. There. Uh yeah, the album Aura, I guess, was the previous album, and I really dug that, and then whenever this one came out I was just like, "Oh yeah, I like this one too."
Hell yeah.
So,
Do you like this more or less equal to Aura?
I think as a whole album I like it more. There are
Okay.
some tracks on Aura that I really like a lot, like probably more than some of the tracks on this one, but I
Hmm.
think as a whole overall experience I like this one more.
Well, cool. I guess with that, you might consider, visiting the Plusle page of Spotify, some sort of angelic temple where you can just kind of meditate and relax and witness the beauty that is their music.
Yeah, the Angel Temple of sorts, and also the track number 1 starting it out hot with the
We're getting
segues.
it. Yeah, so this one, it has some lovely plucky harp synths that kind of like the strings are like kind of synthy, kind of harpy, I guess, that fit perfectly with the title of it being Angel Temple. And I just feel like I'm sitting on some mountaintop, on like a sunny day with a few clouds floating around at eye level. Like it kind of gives me like a Zelda Breath of the Wild kind of feel to it, because it's very like just lovely. And then there's this break, and I wrote in all caps in my notes, "Oh my goodness." It's just all I had at the break, and it's magnificent. It kind of has like a Porter Robinson Worlds feel. A lot of this album reminded me of Porter Robinson. Not to say that this is not distinct from it, because it totally is. Um, but it's just, I don't know. It has such like an interesting, surprising break to it, and it goes kind of electronic, and it's great. And then at the end of the track, it kind of felt like the world fell apart and is like being attacked and like it's on fire, and I wasn't really sure, like, I don't know what the narrative of this album is. I didn't really develop a through line per se for this album, but a lot of it was very like reminiscent of video game music to me, and I really enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad you really enjoy it. I was like, as I was listening to it, I was really hoping you would, because I too saw parallels from Porter Robinson,
Hmm.
and I mean, I really like it. And this one specifically, like, it has almost like a drop that reminds me of, like, it could be, albeit a really good but older, like, dubstep drop almost, whenever the song breaks and really hits
Yeah,
at that point. And I know that has like a stigma around it where I'm like, I don't know, maybe
fuck
he'll
that.
like it,
I love
maybe he won't.
dubstep.
Hell yeah, I love dubstep, but there's just like so many people that are like, oh, fucking just waiting for the drop, bro. Like
Fuck them.
that.
I'm going to Excision's festival in September.
Hell
There's gonna
yeah.
be doing Lost Lands this year, so I got tickets for that. I'm
Well,
all about
cool.
it.
Yeah, I'm all for drops. Like I like it. It's cool, and well, I'm glad you liked it. Because I don't know. It's always nerve wracking because I'm like, man, I really like it, and I think he could like it, but there's also the chance that maybe it won't
Does it bother
quite.
you when I shit on an album that you bring to the table?
No, not at all. It's just like the not knowing, I think, is the thing that
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
suspense.
ah! But yeah, I like that cool like harp. I feel like he does a cool kind of thing that like we noticed that Porter Robinson did on Nurture. Not necessarily that this album sounds anything like Nurture,
Yeah,
but he does like a cool. They do like a cool toss between natural sounds and electronic sounds. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
like with some of the ambience that is behind the actual like electronic music, and yeah, I like also they do like a I guess it's a play with like silence or volume changing a lot where it's like
yeah,
the silence or taking away sound adds to the beat almost,
for sure.
especially since like listening on headphones it's like it feels like there's like a vacuum in your head where it's like there's an absence of sound in the middle of this crazy like craziness going on. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they do it very well, and I think kind of to your point about it being a balance of natural sounds and synthetic sounds, I suppose is the alternative. The album art for this, and I found out that each single actually, or like each song, has its own art
Mm-hmm.
to it. I haven't looked through them all, but I from what I saw, like a lot of them kind of also share that theming. Specifically, the album art of it has like this kind of snowy mountain crater thing with like trees and stuff is what it looks like to me. But there's also some like man-made structures there within, so it's this kind of like ruined, secluded area that I think kind of mirrors that natural sound versus synthy electronic sound that he tries to balance throughout this album. They try to balance throughout this album.
Man, it's tough. It's tough not knowing. I
Yeah,
automatically ascribe he because I am a guy, and it's like I'm
that's
looking at
normal.
everything.
Yeah,
Like I'm
guy
looking,
is normal.
but yeah, I got to do it. I got to do it. But the video game soundtrack type feel is spot on. Like I feel like I'm in a video game whenever I listen to a lot of this music,
Yeah,
and whenever it ends, it like you said, it sounds like chaos. Like it sounds like there's some breaking glass and then people screaming kind of in the background, like people are just like, oh, what's happening, like I mean nobody's saying any words, but that's the feel I get.
yeah. It sounds like you're being attacked by some sort of ghost tribe, perhaps.
Yeah, and the only way to remedy that attack is by listening to track number 2
Ghost
titled
tribe.
Ghost Tribe.
2 for 2. We're killing it.
Yeah, there we
Keep the
go.
ball rolling.
This one starts out with like I don't it reminds me of like a cutting out stereo,
Hmm.
like you're not getting the reception you're supposed to be getting, and it's added to because there's like some rain and chimes going on in the background, which makes me think of a storm
Yeah,
almost. And it's like the radio, like you're trying to find the station that you want to listen to during a rainstorm but you just can't. And it hits like this one, it has like some vocal snippets. I mean, there's really no vocals on this album at all, but you hear like a woo or something right before the
yeah.
song picks up, and it's like he puts somebody in the background to be like, oh shit, here we go, and then it
The
just
hype
starts.
hype man for the song.
Hell yeah, dude! Back up backpack. He's the woo guy.
Yeah, exactly. The yeah guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's just the hype man.
But yeah,
Then this song, like, it has such a vibe, such a vibe.
yeah. There's like, I don't know, so many of these songs. There's a lot of progression throughout each song, right? And this one, like, it has a lot of those natural sounds. Like, it kind of almost has like pan flute sounds
Yeah.
at points in it, and then it builds and it has this big like typical EDM build, I guess, in some way with like some risers and some like you can tell that it's building over time, and then the drop hits and it's fucking great. In this one, there's like an angelic choir and like a really trappy beat that gives a nice kind of flavor to it, and then it has this like solemn piano break in it that's like just it's I don't know, it goes in so many different directions. And because of that, this track specifically, I called out that like the album thus far with all 2 tracks gives me some kind of blend of Porter Robinson, Flume from Flume's like first album, but even some from like Skin, but and Waterflame, who did a lot of the music for Castle Crashers, because that's a fantastic video game OST. And that's kind of where it goes for my brain for a lot of this music being kind of upbeat but also atmospheric and stuff, which he balances out perfectly. And then there's like 3 drops or something in the song, and like the last drop is just so like chill and haunting and cool. It just like, I don't know, it feels so distinctly different from the rest of the song. And like I think that's where Plusol really shines, is like taking you on small journeys and like the length of a song in like 3 minutes. Most of them are around like 3 minutes, and just having such a range of sounds within that 3 minutes. It's very impressive, I think.
I agree, and I think it is impressive because I mean, there this song and quite like a few others on the album. It's like you get a build up and then you get kind of a break or a drop or something where the song just kind of flips, and then you're like, ah, shit, this is what it like. We're gonna just be riding out for the rest of the song, and then it'll kind of like break again and build up again,
Yeah.
and then drop again, and you're just like, where am I now? What's happening?
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of motion.
yeah, and then that last drop, I think, is like where the woo was before the song picked up the first time. There's like somebody in the background shouting, "Are you ready?" And
Yeah.
then right before that last drop comes in, and it sounds like, I don't want to say like there's like a sawtooth type of synth sound. It's almost like a grinding sound, I
Mhm.
guess. Very glassy, very grinding, and then like there's glitchy sounds going on in the background, and then that part ends, and it just like the whole song kind of ends on a gentle piano note to kind of be like, okay, it's okay now. But
It's okay. We're gonna be making some new windows soon to see clearly through the thing. Like we're gonna gather up some sand, right? And we're gonna heat it in a kiln. We're
mhm.
gonna bend it, form glass, because that's how glass is made, right? You just
Yeah,
heat
with
sand
sand.
until it's clear.
Yeah, that's totally how you do it. And to do that, you need to go into the last Airbender universe and contact some sandbenders.
Joey, we don't have to go into another alternate universe to get glass. We have glass in our universe, Joey.
Yeah, but sandbenders are not a thing. I
I
don't
mean,
think.
it's the title of track number 3. So clearly, it's a thing. The term sandbenders exists in this universe at the
You know,
very
I think you have a point. I think you have a really good point.
But yeah, track number 3, Sandbenders. The title immediately obviously puts me in this desert, but the music kind of starts in kind of a cool and calm direction for me. So it was kind of a little dissonant, and then I was like, okay, well maybe it's just windy, right? So like it's normally hot, but it's night, it's kind of dark out, there's some wind or something, and then the rest of like the instrumentation and the melody and stuff comes in. I'm like, there's definitely a lot of Middle Eastern influence where I feel like I'm in a desert, kind of a thing. The melody at the drop has this weird hesitation to it,
Hmm.
and it's kind of slightly off the beat, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm just trudging through like ankle deep sand trying to get to some sort of oasis, kind of a thing. And I noted, if Plusle hasn't made video game soundtrack music, I'm going to be surprised at this point. I forgot to look into it to see if they had, but they, like, I don't know, everything about this album just kind of has that feel to me, where it just like it makes perfect sense. It's adventurous, there's a lot happening, but it's also has a lot of ambience to it that makes sense. It lends itself to being in the background while action is happening in front of it.
Yeah, this one, like, we pretty much, I think, got the same idea because it it starts off kind of like, I likened it to like an oasis or something in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of a desert, because there is a part where like a trappish beat starts hitting right before the drop, and it's like maybe you're out in the middle of nowhere, like you're far away from whatever oasis that you were at the beginning of the song, and then the drop hits and it starts like you're limping, maybe you're a little
Yeah,
dehydrated, you're worse for wear trying to move through thick sand or maybe even quicksand, I don't know. But it's it's a cool feeling. Just it's like the anticipation of waiting for the next beat to come. It's a fraction of a second, but it
yeah,
whenever it doesn't hit right, it feels so much longer.
Yeah,
and
it kind of
that's a
has this
cool
kind of
feeling.
sluggish movement feel to it, which is it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if they've ever made video game music. Like, I haven't looked into it, but I do know most of the video game playlists that I make, uh, there's like at least, I don't know, I'd say a quarter Plusle songs on it. Like my Risk
Yeah.
of Rain playlist, my Borderlands playlist that I only
Side
listen to
note, just
sometimes.
shout out to Chris Christodoulou
Oh my god,
for
yeah.
doing such an amazing fucking job at both Risk of Rain soundtracks. If you haven't listened to those soundtracks, go do so.
Yeah, I honestly like, I love making playlists specifically for games. I feel bad making one for Risk of Rain
Yeah.
because I listen to that soundtrack when I'm not playing the game.
Right.
And
Because
but
it's so good.
it is I'd say some of the best video game music that I've ever heard, I guess.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And it's not like it's I feel like a lot of people are probably gonna get the wrong perception of what it is because it's not high fantasy. It's not a lot of strings and flutes, and it's not Zelda music,
Yeah.
right? It's very synthy and it's very like he has the saw synth that he uses, and he fucking wails on it like it's a goddamn guitar, and he's shredding, and it's just ugh,
Hell yeah.
everything he does. But we're way off track
Yeah.
at this. Well, I guess not way off track, but we need to bring it back to Plusle. Yeah, and I think each of the song covers, because they each have individual art, are in these like 3D isometric cube window things. So that also kind of made me think, okay, he's this person's clearly involved in video games to some extent because they're using like 3D pixel art isometric images for their album. So it makes sense to me if they had also made video game music or if they were inspired by it. Clearly inspired by it, I think. But
Yeah.
like I don't know. They need to be making video game music if they're not.
Yeah, so get on that, Plusle, if you're out there. I don't know your name. I don't know anything about you, but if you're listening to this,
The
make
mystery character in our heads.
make video game music, please.
Yeah, and let me know what game it is, so I'll buy it immediately
Yeah.
just for your soundtrack.
Yeah. Until then, maybe I'll just be hiding out in a cave somewhere, just chilling, getting all windy with the cave winds.
Yeah, and while you're out finding yourself in some cave, I'll be here on the podcast talking about track number 4, Cave Winds.
Oh shit, I guess I should leave and go find a cave then so you can talk about it.
Yeah. This one, I mean, it is what it says it is, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like running water sounds and some soft ambience that kind of sets the path for the song, and then the build happens, and then the drop happens, and there's a lot of very cool sounds. And like the snare, he doesn't use like they don't use like I keep doing it now. It's your fault. I usually don't have this problem, but the snare they've used isn't like a typical snare drum. It sounds a bit more hollow, and it kind of gives me the feeling of like someone's mining a rock wall somewhere in the cavern that just kind of like keeps on ting ting as we go, and the song kind of gets darker and darker, kind of giving me the sensation of like going deeper and deeper into the cave. It still has this like very actiony beat 'em up video game drop to it, which again I drew parallel to Castle Crashers. I feel like the song specifically kind of has a very similar style to a lot of the Castle Crashers music, and this would not be out of place on that soundtrack.
Well, maybe you should put it on your Castle Crashers playlist.
I don't have one, man. I don't do playlists that often.
Well, you're about to have one that I'm
Ooh,
gonna make for you.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good. I hope to not disappoint you.
Inevitably,
So
you will.
yeah, of course, I disappoint everybody in my life, but that's neither here nor there. My question to you, simply because, so okay, so after recommended this album at the end of last week's episode,
Yeah.
we usually just kind of talk for a bit after the episode ends, and we were talking about this album. We looked up the album on Bandcamp,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm relating it to this because the review that we both read said that Cave Winds was that person's favorite song.
I'd forgotten about that, to be honest.
Well, I remember everything except for the things that I don't remember. But this, it made me wonder, did you buy the entire discography? You said something about if you liked it, you would be like, I'm gonna buy this album, or I'm gonna buy the music, or whatever.
Yeah,
You ended up
I
buying it.
did not buy the full discography. I did buy the individual album. I don't want to commit, right? I don't want to overcommit to Plusol, but I do really enjoy this album. I just don't know if how much mileage I would get out of a full discography, because there's 13 releases, I think, on Bandcamp. So
Yeah, I listen to all this music on Spotify, so I'm not as good of a fan as somebody who buys the music off Bandcamp. But I try. I try my hardest.
I don't know. I guess it's kind of a discussion for another time. It's very easy. I mean, if you're paying for Spotify, theoretically the artist is getting a cut of that, right? Whenever you stream their music,
Like a fraction of a cent per play, though.
right? I mean, I don't know how much the artist makes off of Bandcamp and how much Bandcamp takes. I feel like
That's true.
Bandcamp's a good platform, though.
Yeah,
Which is why I buy a lot of music from Bandcamp, just in general, because it has a wide selection of lesser known artists, and like it's really easy for artists to set up, and I feel like they probably get a decent cut, but I don't know that.
yeah. And it's better quality, usually sound quality.
Yeah,
like,
you can download FLAC files, which is fantastic. I love it, but
well,
they're not a sponsor yet. I mean, Bandcamp, if you're listening, feel free to sponsor us, and I'll buy every album we do on Bandcamp.
Yeah, I will too. If you pay me the money to buy it, I will totally buy it.
Anyways, we're getting off track again.
Yeah, we need to get back to the crossings where we can find our way back home.
Where track number 5 resides.
Crossings.
It's called Crossings.
This one it's pretty different. It's a break from the electro type sounds that have been going on. I mean, it's only the natural style. Like, this song is just a standalone piano piece, really. Other than, I mean, there's some strings backing it up, some birds chirping in the background to give some ambience, but it's just a very nice and pretty, simple song that doesn't have any electronic breakdown type whatever. It's just like, maybe you're in the cave winds and the winds have subsided and you're just like looking out at the beautiful nature or something.
The Beautiful Nature. It's the name of a documentary that we're gonna do at some point.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it has a lot of ambience, and like I said, it's mostly piano. It's kind of a nice little interlude track, because it's like halfway in the album at this point. Track 5 of 10 or 11.
oh yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of sad a little bit, especially towards the end. It kind of picks up some more somber, I guess, sounds using like minor chords and stuff like that, and there's like a violin or a string instrument that kind of swells in a bit that gives it kind of this bittersweet feel to it. So I'm not sure narratively, like, if there's a through line. This kind of felt like it was just like a rest stop along the way, right? Where you're stopping, you're taking a break, you're kind of reflecting over where you've been, where you've got to go, in context of a video game. Maybe like this is the halfway point through the game where you're like, okay, well, I still have a bad guy to beat. I've made good progress. I've left some friends behind, but there's still a villain out there that I need to kind of work towards. And this is just kind of taking a nice little break from adventuring, I suppose.
I like that thought. Like, it's the point where you're like, the reality of what is happening is hitting you. And
right.
You're just like, shit, man. I'd love to just retreat into my shell, but I got to keep going.
Yeah, there's no beach around here for which you could collect shells from if you wanted to. But there is track number 6, which is titled Shells.
Boom. There we go. I'm terrible at segues, but
hey, we're killing it. We're doing good. Yeah, this one has some like breathy wind ambience on a loop. That's kind of interesting. To kind of it sets a knot rhythm in some way. Like it is rhythmic, but it doesn't feel like a beat at that point. And then there's this kind of sound of the beat being built in the next room over, kind of a thing, where it's a little muffled, a little like tuned in a strange way, and then it comes through and it's very like bleepy and bloopy, and it has this like dark moody bass to it, and it kind of has this industrial vibe to the song. And then at some point the industrial elements kind of melt away and leave this kind of bridge of the more floaty boops and some like more synth harp stuff that kind of comes in, and there's what sounds like it would be a vocal melody if there were vocals, but it's just played on some kind of like panpipe synth thing going on that it's really interesting why my brain thought that it was like a vocal thing, I guess, and that like I don't know, it's very very prominent in the forefront, and it's unlike the other sounds that are happening in the song, I guess. But yeah, it has such an interesting change to it. Then the beat comes back, and it's not really the full industrial chaos from the beginning, and then this bass groove comes on in the last brief moments of the song, and kind of gets a little groovy, and then it just kind of leaves.
Yeah, I really like the panpipe. Like, it's just, I'm all about the panpipe.
Me
It
too,
totally
man.
sounds like it sounds like something. It reminds me of just a water level from like an N64 game
Hell
or
yeah.
something. Which, I mean, it totally goes against the. It goes nice with. It's a nice contrast, I guess, to the industrial sounds that
Yeah.
start off the song. That drum at the beginning, where it sounds like they're forming the beat in another room, it reminds me of like something Daft Punk would do on like an
Yeah,
earlier album. It's kind of
definitely.
the vibe that gave me. Which, I mean, you all,
From
if
like
you,
the homework era kind of thing.
yeah, which I've been listening to that a lot since I got that. I just started listening to my own music that's not on a streaming service, and I'm trying to form
He's
my own.
becoming a snob.
Yeah, I'm trying to form my own catalog of music and have like a player that like I actually have the music instead of I'm just paying somebody to be like, here, you can listen to this lower quality version of this song, but as long as you keep paying us, then we'll. Which, I mean,
That's
if
my
you're
problem
paying,
with subscription services in general. Anywhere,
yeah,
it feels bad to me.
it does. It feels bad to me, but it's just so convenient, and I
Yeah,
hate myself for it. It's like
I mean,
drinking
that's
shitty like cokes all the time because you're like, I'm going to the gas station. I'm gonna
I'm feeling
buy.
personally attacked by this.
I mean, I do it all the time. Like whenever I'm out and about, that's my thing. I love like going on drives and just stopping at a
Yeah,
gas station and being like, okay, I'm gonna get a drink. It's gonna be great. But then I'm like, after I do it, I'm like, oh God, why did I spend that money on? Why did I spend $10 on like 3 cans of this this drink?
do
And
you? Side note. I mean, I guess not totally side. Do you ever go out driving somewhere that's not that you're not super familiar with and stop at a gas station out there that's like a new gas station to you and feel this kind of weird rush of like exploring a new gas station kind of a thing?
I fucking love that feeling.
Okay.
Like it's just like everything's new and fresh, especially when I can go there and get like shitty coffee.
Yeah.
Something about I never put anything in my coffee. I If I'm making my coffee at home, I always drink it black. But if I'm going out and I'm like going into a gas station and getting like the shitty watery coffee that they have, I just put so much like cream and sugar in it,
Hmm.
and there's just something about that taste that I'm just like,
It's kind
I'm
of
on
a
the
guilty pleasure.
yeah, I'm like I'm on the fucking road. Like I'm out here. I'm just driving around. I don't know where the fuck I am, and
Yeah.
it's just a good feeling. It
Yeah,
makes
and
me feel like I'm on a road trip, I
it's
guess.
even better when the clerk or attendant that's working is kind of friendly.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, like maybe start up a quick conversation with some complete stranger that I'll probably never see again because I'm not likely to come back to this gas station for any reason.
God, especially whenever it's like they have enough regulars for them to be like, "Oh, you're new here. Where are
Yeah.
you like?" And you're just like, "Yes, I am new here."
I'm sure that happens a lot more around rural areas where we are
Yeah.
than in cities. I don't. Do people in cities go driving? Is that a thing that
Probably.
happens?
I mean, they probably do, but not to the. I don't know. I guess I can't speak for
Okay,
anybody in a city.
if you're listening and you're in a major city, right? You live in an apartment somewhere in like a downtown major city area. Let us know in the comments if you go out for casual drives for fun.
Or maybe walks. I don't know. Maybe they walk
That's true.
like around the city.
Those healthy people
Yeah.
walking.
Fuck that. I want to sit in my metal fucking room. It blows my mind sometimes. I know this is way too far off, but like I was driving and my head was hitting the ceiling of my car, and I realized It's like I'm just sitting in a little like
A metal
moving,
contraption.
I'm just in a metal contraption, just flying, just fucking flying, and this thing is like barely bigger than I am, and I'm just like
Yeah.
rolling down the road at 60 miles an hour or whatever, and
Or
it's
whatever.
yeah. I'm not gonna incriminate myself, but
Yeah. It's interesting that
yeah,
I don't know. Something I agree though. Something about it just feels exhilarating, I guess, to just go out on a drive. But track number 7 is Hailstorm.
hell yeah.
In case you all missed that segue that we didn't make.
This one, I really like this song, mainly because of the transformation that it goes through. Like it starts out with this key part that gets transformed into like this really high and bright sounding part that's like it's like the keys get transformed into like a synth part. I know it's probably all the same thing and he's just changing
Sure.
what the sound is, but it's like very it ends up as like this very airy and glassy feel. And then like I always mention, I listen on headphones, so like I really like what they do with the volume. And it's like there's parts in this song specifically where they're just like cutting out the sound and like the silence becomes the quick silence. It's not like there's a second of silence, it's like a fraction
Right.
of a second, but it's like all sound is cut out.
It's
And that
piercing how quiet it is.
yeah, and it's like that forms part of the beat, and then the drop on this one gets that sawtooth type of sound with the key or xylophone. I can't really make out exactly what it is, but it's got that in the background. And I mean, it's just a pretty short and sweet track that I always like to listen to.
I agree. I think this was like the first like standout track for me on this island. I didn't mark a favorite, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be this one, just because it's like I don't know. It has that build that was kind of expected at this point, but it's not like a super aggressive drop. It's just kind of like this cool piano and some bass, and it's not like super upbeat or anything. And it just like I don't know, it has a good vibe of like staring out the window watching it rain kind of a thing, but it's also a little bit more like optimistic from it. And then like you said, that the sawtooth synth kind of comes back, and it kind of gets a little bit darker and darker, and then gets a bit techno-y and has like this very bright piano sound that comes in with like the main melody. And it just I don't know, it's a very interesting dynamic track with a lot of the kind of like you mentioned the volume shifting. It just feels very like movement heavy, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't know, like volume, I guess that's dynamics. That's what that is.
Yeah.
But it's not in almost any other form of media. It's not something that I like. I hate when movies do it and it's like
Yeah,
one
dude,
part
that pisses me off.
like I'm just like I don't want to keep fucking changing the volume every 5 seconds to hear what somebody's talking about and
Yeah.
then have to crank it down 30 points just to get through a fight scene or something so I don't blow my fucking speakers out. But in
just
music,
be like me and just use subtitles and keep it at some weird average.
I'm glad you said that. I don't watch TV since I was maybe like 15. I don't watch TV. Maybe even before then. I don't watch TV or movies without subtitles. I always have subtitles on.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies in general, but I don't know when I started, but I definitely prefer having subtitles on now. Maybe it's just because I'm getting deaf and it's harder for me to hear or understand what people are saying, but
that could be.
Fuck it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a subtitle boy.
You know, I bet all these non-subtitle people are going to like banish us to a mountain where we're going to have to just rest up there for the rest of our lives.
I'm okay with that. That sounds lovely. Have a nice little mountain rest while we record the podcast talking about track number 8.
Titled Mountain Rest. Oh yeah.
I really like the vocal instrumentation on this track. It definitely has kind of more of that like Porter Robinson kind of feel to it, but it's still distinctly not Porter Robinson. Like Plusol has a very unique spin on a lot of the elements from other artists that we've kind of mentioned. The song is so like calming without being completely ambient in some ways, and it kind of goes into like a lo-fi beat where you feel like you're kind of zooming out, like the camera's panning out from some old-timey radio and saying that you're in this like post-apocalyptic world kind of a thing. And then the fidelity comes back with the music, the beat kind of kicks back in, and it's very like hopeful and driven. And I was again trying to kind of figure out where this fits within a narrative, I guess, of a video game or something. And it kind of like felt like the protagonist is having some sort of montage where they're making their way through some sort of city that's been broken down, and then you hear this child's laughter, and like there's like a sample that kind of, it doesn't loop, I don't think, but there's this kind of constant scattered giggling and laughing of children that kind of made me think that, like, okay, well, the protagonist at this point has found some sort of small oasis within the city where there's still some semblance of civilization and things are okay here, even if it's not the protagonist's final destination. They can kind of feel like they've found a safe place for the night, kind of a thing.
I like that story.
Thanks. I'm going to sell it in a book.
And not credit Plusol at all.
Exactly. The book's going to be titled Mountain Sleep.
Yep. But and your pen name is going to be minus Soul.
Minus Soul. Minen. It'll be
Minen. Yeah, there we go. Minen.
Minen.
And then Nintendo's going to fucking sue you.
Indeed.
But I really like the song. It starts off with like they're almost like ethereal voices, and then actual voices come in, and it's just like super heavenly, I guess. And yeah, like I totally dig lo-fi beat type stuff, and this has that feel all over it. The little kid laughing is kind of like, I don't want to say it's creepy because it doesn't sound creepy in the context of the song, but little kids laughing like that, it's always just kind of, for you. Yeah, it's unsettling for me because I'm a fucking baby, I guess, and I'm just like, oh, little kids laughing.
Or maybe you've seen too many horror movies where the kid turns out to be some demonic creature.
You know, I totally have. My mom is all about horror movies, and whenever I was a kid, she would just watch them. Yeah. And then I'd be like, what's happening? And she'd be like, I'm watching a movie, and then I'd just end up watching it and be like, oh my God.
I'm traumatized.
I'm scared of everything now. I remember getting like feeling actually sick as a young child, like a very young child. I was probably like, I think 5, and like Predator, which isn't a horror movie.
Right.
It was on TV, and I was just like, it was like the first time I saw like extreme gore, because there's like people getting like run through with blades, and there's like their guts are falling out. I was just like, we were about to eat dinner, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm hungry anymore, guys.
That's awesome. I think the closest thing I had to that being scared by a not horror movie was one of the Ghostbuster movies. I think it was the second Ghostbuster movie when I was very young. I have a very distinct memory of, there's a scene in the movie where there's like some pink goo coming out of the bathtub spout, while there's like some baby is like sitting in the bathtub, and then this pink goo is coming out to like grab it or whatever. And I remember watching that with my family, and then I had to go up and take a bath before bed, and I refused to take a bath without my mom sitting in the bathroom beside me to make sure that I didn't get snatched up by some pink goo, kind of a thing. So that's my cowardly child moment that I remember.
There we go. As long as we all have one, I don't feel like such a baby.
Do you have more than one though?
Not really. I'm really, at this point in my life, I'm not really afraid of anything.
I was just trying to make you feel like a sissy if you did have more than one.
Oh no, I was not afraid of as many things as I should have been as a kid, I think.
Well, if you were, those fears have probably been left in the ruins of time.
Well, I hope they stay there, because I would like to spend less of my time being afraid and more time talking about track number 9, Ruins of Time.
Hell yeah. Killing it.
Hell yeah.
This one, I feel like, I know I said Hailstorm was probably my favorite. I feel like this is also a contender for my favorite track, where it just, I don't know, it feels like I'm in some sort of like underground temple, and you can hear this noise that I think is mostly intended as ambience, but in my gamer mind, I kept thinking of like a trap blade swinging through like some hall of a dungeon somewhere in the distance, and you can just kind of hear it echoing where you can't see it. You know it's somewhere in this dungeon, but you hear it and you know what's coming, kind of a thing. And then this flute comes in and the beat comes in, and I just lose all sense of where I'm at. And I don't know, flute hits me in such a specific weird way when it's incorporated to like non-classical music, I guess. And it just like, I don't know, it's beautiful. I love it. It's fantastic. And then you get these big brass stabs that come in towards the end with another like techno-y build, and the song just really takes a turn. and it's just like, I don't know, there's a lot of progression, a lot of experimentation throughout the album, but especially on this track, I feel it stands out to me as just like, it's crazy how many different like moments you feel like you're in throughout the course of the song.
Yeah, for real. Like this is one of the shortest. I mean, one of the short. It's 3 minutes, but I mean, like in these last few songs,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of get a little bit longer. Like Shells was like almost 4 minutes. Mountain Rest, I think, was a little over four
Yep.
minutes, and then this one, it's just a little bit shorter. But like they pack in so much different type of stuff. Like there is like the flute, like it starts off not so chill, but then the flute kind of comes in and you're like, oh, okay, flute, this is nice.
Yeah.
And then the big bombastic build up, kind of like it's got these rattly like brass stabs, these bass notes and everything, and then the song at the end, whenever it finally like drops for the final time, it reminds me of like a fight song, like some
Yeah.
crazy shit's going down, like you're fighting the boss here.
Yep.
And it's a great feeling. This is one of my favorites as well. It's definitely always on. If I'm making like a cool video game playlist, this one's always on it. And
Side note, how many cool video game playlists do you have?
I am going through my what was my iTunes that I took off of my parents' computer, and I'm finding so many like playlists that I had in there. And
So would you make a new playlist for like every new game that you played?
I would make I would make a new playlist for most games that I would play, and sometimes I would make multiples depending on what mood I was feeling when,
Hell yeah.
because there were like games that I'd be like, well, if I'm feeling like pissed off, I'm gonna play this game, or if I'm feeling like I just want a chill night, I'm playing this game. But then sometimes I would do it with like Elder Scrolls games a
Yeah.
lot, where it's like, okay, if I'm feeling sad, I'm gonna play this game
Yes,
because I'm
that's what I
feeling
was
sad.
thinking.
Or if I'm feeling adventurous, I'm gonna play this game because I'm feeling adventurous. And it's like I'm playing the same game, but I'm feeling it different, so I want different music for
Yeah,
it, I guess.
the sad boy nights where you're just like wandering around like Skyrim or something and just kind of taking in the natural beauty of Skyrim, and then there's the more
Yes.
adventurous where you want to go out and you want to explore a dungeon or climb a mountain and fight something kind of a thing. I'm
Hell
right there
yeah.
with you.
Oh
Not that I
god.
make playlists for it, but I've definitely had those kind of like mood associations with how I act and behave in a game.
Yeah, it's like going on to Grand Theft Auto and obeying all the traffic
Yeah,
laws because you're just like, I just want to just escape.
dude,
Like
like fucking playing Grand Theft Auto 5 when you're in like such a sad boy mood and just getting in like a helicopter and just kind of like slowly cruising over the city and like just taking it all in. It's just like, I don't know, there's something special about it.
it's very nice. It's like escapism, doing things that you could just do, but it's like in a fresh new world, I guess.
Yeah,
It feels different.
and without having to put on pants.
And without having to put on pants, without having to work and dedicate your life in such a way that you can afford a helicopter to fly around.
That too. Track number 10 is Limit Breaker.
Boom, breaking limits
Breaking
with
limits and not doing segues.
yeah, because this broke the limit of longest song on the album at 5 minutes and 45 seconds. That's unheard of. It's at least 2 minutes. Well, not at least. It's almost 2 minutes longer than the next longest song.
Yeah, it's a good final track. I think it's like this feels like the pinnacle, the apex of the fight with the bad guy. Perhaps there's some like echoey room with like some simple piano and a slow heartbeat, and it like kind of feels like, okay, maybe this is like the sad credits for the thing, and the drums come in and they're a bit like tribal and driving and stuff. So I was like, okay, well maybe the hero's overcoming this final sadness to bring a whooping to the boss, you know. And then we get this like distorted electric guitar that comes in and some very like staccato string stabs and stuff, and I'm like, we're definitely approaching boss territory here for that. And then the music drops and it just leaves some like somber piano. And I was like, well, that's kind of unexpected. And it just kind of sits there for a minute, and then there's this quick rise and a build with some like nasty distorted synths that remind me of Daft Punk's like Aerodynamic, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
synth sound with it. And then it's right back on track to defeating the evil boss of this mountain that we're fighting in or something. And it's got some chiptone synth stuff that feels just perfect for being in such a video game mindset. The drums swing a bit towards the end and add a ride cymbal that really just pulls it all together for this big finale. and then the song just kind of ends unceremoniously as some sort of like cliffhanger, like, oh, we'll see you in the next game kind of thing, that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like that. Like it does just kind of end at a like it ends on a big note, really, where you're just
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, the energy's there. The protagonist is stabbing his sword into the heart of the bad guy, and then it just black screen. There's no resolution.
Especially because it has like you said, it has almost a fake ending about halfway through where
Yeah,
it kind of brings it back down after it brings in an electric guitar, or what
yeah,
sounds like an electric guitar. I don't know if it's actually a
sure.
guitar, but it's like you're just like, oh shit, it's going down, and then it stops, and you're like, ah, did is the battle over? No, second boss phase, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
and then it ends there. So who knows? Who knows what the next album is going to bring? Hopefully, it brings
some
a
sort of
conclusion.
resolution to that.
It's gonna start at this energy that it ended on. It's just gonna
That would be intense, just to fucking buckle your seatbelt and go in. But there is an 11th track to this album that is
that,
not technically part of the album.
and it's not on Spotify, so I
It's not
didn't
on
hear it.
Spotify. Joey didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until I bought the album, because I've been listening to the album on Bandcamp because it's not on YouTube Music, and I don't want to fucking pay for Spotify. But so I've been listening to it on Bandcamp, and on Bandcamp, it says that there are 11 tracks, but there are only 10 of them displayed. And when you listen to it on Bandcamp, there's only 10 tracks. And then I bought it today and downloaded it, and there was an 11th track included, and it's called "The Frost Below the Cabin." And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Then I messaged Joey to make sure that there were only 10 tracks that he was doing, and he did. But then I listened to the 11th track anyway, and it's so different from the rest of the album. It's like this kind of like spicy, jazzy piano piece that comes in, and then there's like a soft, smooth, upright bass, and the drums are very like swingy and jazzy. And it's just, I feel like I'm sitting in some dimly lit jazz club or some speakeasy thing, which I mean, I totally get why it's not included in the album, because it's so distinct from all of those. But boy, I really enjoy that track. It's kind of a nice, like, chilling, maybe like a post credits scene to the adventure of the album, where it's just kind of like it's resetting the mood after such a big cliffhanger of an ending, kind of a thing. So it's pretty cool. I recommend. I'm gonna send it to you, Joey. Which, like, I guess if you're listening, don't tell on me. But yeah, I think you're gonna like it. I think everyone else will too. Look at it might be on YouTube if you just search "The Frost Below the Cabin." I don't know. It's a pretty cool track, and it's kind of like an ultimate hidden bonus track kind of thing, because it's, as far as I'm aware, only available if you buy the album on Bandcamp.
Well, you know what? Maybe I will. I mean, even if you do send it to me, potential. I'm not making any sort of definitive statement. No, I don't
Yeah,
know if you're going to send it to me.
you're gonna buy his discography anyway
Yeah,
on Bandcamp.
I'll
So
end up buying it because just the fact that there's a bonus track. I really liked Aura, so maybe there's a bonus track there. Maybe there's not. I want flat downloads of all of the music anyway because Spotify
it's
only
pretty
plays.
cheap.
Yeah.
I think it's like $15 for his discography on Bandcamp.
Well,
Buy music, people. Don't just
yeah,
stream it.
because
Buy merch.
yeah,
Buy whatever you can buy from the artists themselves, and not from some faceless corporation.
send money directly to the artist, like
Yeah,
cash in an
mail it
envelope.
in an envelope. Yep. Man, but yeah, overall, I like this album a lot. It's got a lot of feels that are similar to artists that I like. Like I mentioned Flume, and I've mentioned Porter Robinson and Daft Punk and Waterflame and stuff like that. So like I'm all about it. It's a very cool album. I'm glad you recommended it to me. Next week we're going to be doing an album called The Rise and Fall of Loverboy by the band Sir Sly.
Sir Sly.
Yep, which I found them. They actually opened for K Flay when I went and saw her live once, and I really liked their sound. I liked specifically, there was like one performance of a song that they did that really hooked me, and I went and looked into them. And they actually just released this album this year called The Rise and Fall of Loverboy. So it's fresh in my mind. I've been kind of listening to it here and there throughout this year, and I feel like it'd be fun to share and talk about. So we're going to be doing that next week. Until then, you guys can hit us up, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram even. I don't know how notification heavy we are on Instagram. I don't get notifications, so I'm assuming nobody's messaging us.
I mean, I look on there and nobody fucking says anything.
Nobody likes us. Nobody's saying anything anywhere. We're just kind of floating in the void alone. But yeah, send us some messages. Let us know what you thought of Plusol. Let us know what you think of Sir Sly next week when we talk about it. You can listen and feel part of the conversation if you give some comments or something. But at the very least, even if you're not going to comment, like 100% of you are not going to comment, just stay in our feedback loop.
And bye.